If it was in 2013, a quarter of the people in this room would be using a Samsung mobile phone. Samsung is a South Korean multinational company headquartered in Samsung-town, Seoul. It comprises numerous subsidiaries and composes of three core divisions. The first one is Device Solution, the B2B part of Samsung, which provides chips, semiconductors, and LCDs to different businesses. The second part is Digital Media and Communication Service, which including phones, computers, and other user products. The third part is the Advanced Institute of Technology, the R&D part of Samsung. So will Samsung thrive in the future really depends. Depends on Samsung's dynamic capabilities, as well as the threats they are facing and how they tackle them. So, what are dynamic capabilities? According to a guy named Tees, dynamic capabilities including sensing, seizing, and transforming. Sensing is the company's ability to sense the changes in the competitive environment, for example, the shift in the competition, technology, markets, and regulation, and then seizing this opportunity through planning strategies, communicating them, and providing structure for action. Finally, transforming is put the plan to action, which changes the organization, create value, and sustain profitability. And this sensing, seizing, transforming cycle continues. Throughout this financial crisis, Samsung's global market share of cell phone increased from 14% in 2007 to 25.7% in 2013. Samsung has also become the largest IT company by revenue in 2012. So what dynamic capabilities help Samsung become so successful? We divided these dynamic capabilities according to T's model. So, sensing. First one is market opportunity recognition. During the financial crisis, the Korean won decreased sharply. Samsung sensed this opportunity and made significant inroad into the world market for mobile phones and LCD TV sets, especially to China, where the logistical cost is relatively low. In 2011, Samsung Electronics had the largest market share for mobile phone in China. Apart from that, Samsung also did more in-depth market researches and look at trend in fashion, gathering information about what the market wanted, which differentiated the company from its competitors. The second capability is the technological learning and exploring. Internally, Samsung had about 55,000 engineers and other researchers. Product division always sent engineers and research teams to learn new skills, which help them exploit existing technological capabilities. Externally, Samsung used a variety of channels to rapidly access and internalize the outside technologies like joint ventures, acquisitions, technological licensing, overseas R&D center, equipment supplier. The overseas R&D center, located in Silicon Valley, served as a sensor for exploring new technological partners based on future opportunities. For seizing, we also identified two main capabilities of Samsung. The first one is efficient management system. For communication, both Samsung Electronics headquarters and production division presidents hold strong technical expertise and worked closely. When environment changes, they are able to drive strategy into action efficiently. Plus, each Samsung division has its own management structure and high level of autonomy, which helped it to react to dynamic environments quickly. The second capability is mitigating risk. Samsung run the product through a comprehensive evaluation system before they are launched. For example, the handset division had 5 competing product development teams working on similar new product at one point in order to hedge the risk of R&D activities. Finally, transforming. Samsung have the adaptive capability for transforming. After globalizing, Samsung also established own manufacturing lines all around the globe. This allows Samsung to switch manufacturing plants agilely. In 2007, Samsung developed an intra-firm procurement system. Production are done in cells, which increased tension in the workforce, and it also helped the firm to leverage resources to achieve highest efficiency, which later benefited the firm when they have massive production requirements. Samsung also had the capability to innovate. It was able to leapfrog competitors through rapid product and process innovation. For example, it is developing Tizen, an operating system based on Linux. To break free from Google's platform, it intensified its R&D efforts and compressed time for new product development and mass production through concurrent development. Overall, Samsung had the capability to recognize opportunities, to learn and explore technology, to manage efficiently, to mitigate risks, and to adapt and to innovate. These capabilities helped Samsung to turn crisis into an opportunity.
So we now analyze Samsung's future challenges using Porter's 5 forces and the sustainability threat framework.
Competitors like LG, Nokia, and Apple are engaged in fierce competitive rivalry. Indeed, Samsung cannot take its position in the market for granted, as all these other players operate in a market where margins are tight and the competition is intense. In terms of bargaining power of suppliers, working with Samsung depends on the specific type of supplier. Businesses supplying general parts and components do not yield substantial bargaining power. However, one particular supplier, Google, exercises a huge bargaining power as the supplier of Android platform due to the lack of alternative platforms available to Samsung. In terms of bargaining power of buyers, there are 2 types of buyers. One is retail sale and the other is telecom operator sale. There are many consumers who buy Samsung's product directly, so they don't have much bargaining power, but buying volume from an operator can be very large, so they usually have some bargaining power with Samsung. In terms of the threat of substitute, for Samsung, almost any phone that performs the same function as the Samsung phone could be considered as a substitute. However, the threat of substitute products within the industry is low. Although there is an increased popularity of tablets, they are generally too bulky to consider as straight substitute, so the buyer's possibility to substitute is low. And in terms of threat to entry, this industry is characterized by high barriers to entry and low barriers to exit. It's often very difficult to enter emerging markets because a host of factors have been taken into consideration, such as setting up the distribution network and supply chain.
So, we're now going to outline Samsung's future challenges using the threats to sustainability framework. Firstly, imitation is one of the threats. It is the ability for competitors to copy Samsung's business model while competing on resources such as being more cost-effective. Chinese manufacturers, including Huawei and ZTE, are adopting disruptive technology, which means that they are offering similar devices at lower prices. Another threat is substitution. Apple is one of the major competitors for Samsung and pose a major threat to them. Apple has its own operating system, iOS, as opposed to Samsung, which uses Google's Android. This does not give them the flexibility that Apple has acquired. Furthermore, Apple recently introduced Apple Pay, which offers high level of security, and with its strong trust relationship, it's managed to get on board with major banks. The next threat is hold-up. And hold-up refers to power struggles with parties that the company depends on. For instance, Samsung uses Google's operating system's Android, which means they're forced to comply to the software standards of Google and unable to differentiate the operating system from competitors. And finally, the last threat is slack, which refers to the ineffective use of current resources. For instance, Samsung is highly vertically integrated, which means that they could incur intra-firm transactional costs. Another issue that brings about slack is that they focus too much on protecting their intellectual property, which means that they're wasting time and resources and could be extremely costly when they go into potential lawsuits. After looking at Samsung's threats, we will now outline some of the ways Samsung can address these challenges. In regards to imitation, Samsung has and can build further barriers through the economies of scale and scope, through its learning capabilities which has developed over time, and through being vertically integrated and having a diversified portfolio. Samsung can also exploit the learning and private information Their executives have strong technical expertise of their market and work with the production division to foresee trends. Moreover, Samsung has close relationships with its suppliers. They integrate and share a SAP-based system, which allows them to benefit from pull production. In response to substitution, Samsung is currently developing their operating system called Tizen, which will give them more flexibility and reduce asset specificity. It is also making its mobile payment service available in more places compared to the Apple Pay. In response to hold-up, Samsung is vertically integrated and independent manufacturing, reducing their transaction costs such as monitoring suppliers, which also protects their knowledge and processes from competitors. As said, they're developing Tizen, which reduces their asset specificity in regards to Google's Android. And finally, in response to Slack, they have specialized staff to mediate and facilitate conflict among employees, which is part of the Asian culture. And to reduce any problems incurred with IP, they can maintain good relationships with customers, suppliers, and competitors to avoid further lawsuits.
Thank you for listening.